it was just a joke. People can joke, you know. People can joke and mock and laugh. Well, it's something people do to make themselves feel better when others are sick or dying. You're not a bad person for joking while somebody's dying, right? How is it a joke? Who is it funny to? We're going to send men to urinate on this disabled child's grave. Who is that? Who finds that hilarious? Only an abuser. So the main argument here is that it was just a joke. Kathy knew it was a joke. Everybody knew it was a joke. Okay. So here's the thing. Kathy's sister, my mother, was dying at the time. So as a way to cheer Kathy up, right? This was a joke to cheer Kathy up. They decided to emotionally abuse me by holding a fundraiser to send men to urinate on my handicapped brother's grave. Because it's so funny. Right? It's almost like this family is abusive. It's almost like when the hardest things happen to this family, they lash out and attack me to make themselves feel better. So my mother is dying in a hospital, and Kathy is lashing out at me by going after my handicapped, disabled, dead brother. Because it's funny. I just don't see the humor. I don't. And I have friends who are comedians. 2 of them. Actual and well-known, famous on-stage comedians. They don't hurt people. Their idea of comedy is not sending men to desecrate handicapped children's graves. Their idea of funny is not emotionally abusing somebody while their mother is dying, so that the rest of the family can laugh because the family scapegoat is being abused again. She can't escape. Isn't it hilarious? Isn't it so funny that even living in California, not contacting anybody in that family, they can still emotionally destroy me for their own enjoyment? And then they can sit back and say, well, we're not abusive. She deserves this. Can't you all see how she deserves to be treated this way? How is it that only we can see it? Well, no. Nobody deserves to be treated this way. And it's not a joke. When you're saying you're going to... He created a fundraiser specifically to send men to urinate on a handicapped child's grave. That's not a joke to anybody. That's not funny. That's not a joke. And just because he didn't do it doesn't mean it's just as hurtful to the family of that disabled child, except only one member of that disabled child's family is hurt by this, apparently. Because the rest of the family, they agree with Kathy, right? Everybody in the family who won't speak out against Kathy agrees with Kathy. Which means that while my mother was dying in the hospital, my aunts, uncles, siblings were all mocking and laughing at me for being upset that they were attacking our handicapped brother. I just want it to be fully understood. That's it. I just want full understanding that this is my family. This is the abusive relationship that I have with the people that share my blood. And I have been saying it for so long. My family is abusive. How much more abusive do you need to be? How much more abusive do you need to be? My mother was dying in a hospital and the entire family was more focused on emotionally destroying me. When there's another family member dying, why are you more focused on emotionally destroying a separate one? It's not okay. It will never be okay. And y'all are constantly arguing, well, your little brother wasn't handicapped by your father. You cannot cripple a child through abuse. You can't do that. That's not how cerebral palsy happens. So there's somebody else in my comments saying that they had a brother with cerebral palsy and that it can come from lack of oxygen or substance abuse. So if both alcohol and drug abuse, which my mom was on, can cause it, then why can a 300-pound man sitting on her stomach choking her to death not cause it? Would the mothers being choked cause oxygen deprivation to the baby? Is that possible at all? Because what happened was my father came home angry. He told my mother that the baby was going to be another goddamned girl, and he didn't want it. He punched her in the face, knocked her to the ground, sat on her 9-month pregnant stomach. Maybe 8-month pregnant stomach. I don't know. My little brother was probably early, but sat on her pregnant stomach, wrapped his hands around her throat, and choked her, and beat her head into the floor until neighbors pulled him off of her. And my little brother was born that night. And they were told that he would probably never leave the hospital. You can argue all day long that that can't cause any kind of problems for the child, that you can't handicap a child like that. I know what I know. I know who my father was. I know who my mother was. I know that my grandmother told the truth when she told me that story. And I will never allow anybody to convince me otherwise. My grandmother is the one that told me what happened to my little brother, and I believe her. And I will always believe her over anybody else in this family. Period. My grandmother was the only honest one. And that's the thing, Kathy says she wouldn't put anything disparaging against her mother on her channel, but every time she denies something that my grandmother told me, she is calling her mother a liar. Because these stories came straight from her mother. So if she's saying that I'm lying, then she is actually saying that her mother lied. She is practically calling her mother a liar in every video that she's calling me a liar. But that's Kathy, right? I told the truth about this family. And that's why they hate me, and that's why they're going to destroy me. But these videos will still be up forever. 10 years from now, somebody can find them and understand my family did these things. This wasn't just something that I was creating out of my mind. This wasn't just something that I made up. That fundraiser existed. My family was involved in it. This was all real. The last year of my life that my family has been involved in this cyber terrorism was real. And it is absolute proof of the abuse that I have been talking about for years, because no loving family would be doing this.